How's everybody doing? It's good to be here, and to be here with my partner in time and crime, Miss Carrie Mae Weems. This section of the program really, Carrie and I have been working together, and we've created a family of musicians. We've created a family of sound. And so a lot of the compositions and some of the pieces you all have been in various of Carrie's work. And it's with this ensemble, with this string ensemble, with usually 12 strings, well, eight strings in the rhythm section. But we just kind of had to, I guess we had to modify for the day because she got so much going on. And, but it was a good thing to do because it really got me back to my string writing. A couple years ago I had got away from it, and you'll just be hearing certain things, and we're going to walk through like family and just enjoy ourselves. Thank you very much. Composition titled First World. That was First World. We're going to move to a composition dedicated to my mentor, dedicated to the person who really got my game together. His name was Makonda, Ken McIntyre. We call this Makonda. There was a great woman, she was a good friend of mine, and she always came in here to music. She was at the music all the time. She wasn't going without any of the musicians, she wasn't going out with anybody, she was there about the music. Her name was Cheryl Green. She was the editor. And Cheryl spelled her name with 2 L's and an E. And always somebody said, your name's Cheryl Green, and she said, yeah, but 2 L's and an E. And so this composition called 2 L's and an E. cool, boys. That's the first time we played this. This is the first time we played it. First time, and we'll never play like that again because the first time is always, no matter what, is the right time. I'm serious. The first time is the right time. The first time is the right time. We're going to move on to a composition dedicated to my brother, Floyd Harris, entitled My Brother Legba.
the beginning of spring, reflecting, considering, imagining, contemplating the past, and imagining the future. With one step, she could be in the future in an instant, or in the past, or in the moment, the now. But to get to now, to this moment, she needs to look back over the landscape of memory. Lost in memory, the woman faces history, a history with this story that's been told 1,000 times before. And if you look on the horizon, here and there, first seen and now hidden, are little sightings of hope, of dreams, and of memories. And if you look closely through the corridors of time, even within the horror, one could see the fluttering wings of doves, wings like time batting out beats of hope. Hope was the thing missed, the thing hopeful. You could almost taste it, but it was just out of reach, just above your head. And I wrote that for a piece called Grace Notes. Greg Harris did the music, Life's excerpts. Carl Hancock Rux worked with me to develop portions of the text. And then, of course, I did a lot of writing and a lot of inviting of different people to perform with me. Issa Davis, Francesca Harper, Amani Azuri, Carl himself, Carl Hancock. It's a really amazing group, and we were trying to understand, trying to get to this project again called Grace Notes and the meaning of grace, and what that might mean contemporarily for us as we sort of struggle through this extraordinary moment in time. We were witnessing hundreds of deaths across the country. Young black men primarily being killed, usually by the police, often by the police. And of course the Emmanuel 9 who were killed in their church. We developed the piece for Spoleto as a way of marking again the sort of criticality of the moment, focusing the energy and the attention. And so I've been very grateful to work with a group of extraordinary collaborators. I'm not a writer, I'm not an actor, I'm not a performer. I'm an artist trying to figure out how to negotiate this moment and how to dig deep into it, to describe it for myself and then for people who either agree and or disagree with me. So I'm going to read just a little bit more of the text. Nona Hendryx is going to come out and sing a wonderful song that she wrote for the piece. And again, I was blessed again to have Nona sort of join this group. I was amazed, I couldn't believe that the great Nona Hendryx wanted to work with my knucklehead self, but she agreed. And I keep coming up with these ideas marked by a darker hue. And I've used it often. Marked by a darker hue, you had a strange history. You walked out onto history's stage, square-toed and flat-footed, unarmed and unprotected. And marked by a darker hue, according to time and place, your appearance changed. But you were always stopped, and always charged, and always convicted. And so you were no stranger to sorrow. And time again, the man was rejected and the woman was denied. A man, child, was killed. The body lay in the open, uncovered and exposed. Women wailed and men moaned. and even the gods turned their heads in shame. And for reasons unknown, I saw him running. I saw him stop. I saw him turn with raised hands. I heard a shot and I saw him fall. But for reasons unknown, I rejected my own knowledge and I deceived myself by refusing to believe that any of this was possible. And so their rights were denied, and the people said little, and they did even less. And one of the things that has occurred to me over and over and over about this history of violence that we have to negotiate is that this violence is not like it is in the movies. There are no fast cuts, there are no zooms, there are no close-ups, there are no pans. I saw an extraordinary fight one day, one of the ugly things that I witnessed in my life, a fight with two women on the streets. And it was all happening in slow motion. Violence is not like it is really in TV or the movies. It's something else, you know, and how it operates and what we see. Reality is in somber color. It's good to see you, Craig. I saw him running, I saw him stop, I saw him turn with raised hands. I heard a shot, and I saw him fall. But for reasons unknown, I deceived myself by refusing to believe that any of this was possible. And so their rights were denied. And the people said little, and they did even less. Persistently changing. Traditions were dying and forces are colliding. And demographics shifting from white to black in varying shades of brown. And this evidence, along with the anger, was everywhere. The resistance was so strong you could taste it. Tongues were wagging and fingers were pointing to this, that, everywhere, blaming you, blaming them, blaming us. And yet, tripped up by forces beyond their control, white men were disaffected and disenfranchised, and black men were disaffected and dying. And yet really both are devoid of power. And yet blinded by race and rage and historical circumstance. We were all blaming the other. And rumors of wars. ISIS was growing, the rest was trembling in the face of its own created monster. And all trust was broken. And we were now living in the autumn of the patriarch. Corruption is rampant and crime is everywhere, with bubbles bursting, banks failing, factories closing, capital collapsing, murder and mayhem.
Raise it up, go, hey!
And there were riots and revolts and revolutions, and assassins and sociopaths, psychopaths everywhere, now taking matters into their own hands, ruling the streets and the government alike, knowing that by the year 2020, manifest destiny would be a thing of the past, boxed up and put away. Finally, compelled by a growing sense of loss, Confederates and conservatives were coming out of the attics, despising progress, despising Obama, attempting to hold fast to traditions, and ultimately voting for Trump. And that's where we find ourselves, this moment, extraordinary moment in time. One of the things that I learned about doing this project, Grace Notes, because I was paying attention to other artists, was how much Grace Notes is like Antigone. The story of Antigone is a simple, very simple story. And earlier this afternoon, I was talking to a young artist, talking about the idea of stories and that there are only a couple of stories in the world. Right? There are only a few, just a handful. The story really of Antigone is simply that a man has killed her brother. Her brother is killed. And Antigone decides that she wants to bury her brother with some kind of honor, some kind of dignity. And the ruler of the land says no. Antigone broke the law. He broke the rules. And his body has to be left in the open. It has to be left exposed. and allow nature to take its course on it. That he can be eaten by bugs and birds and wild animals. And Antigone says, no, this cannot happen. I have to bury my brother with some kind of dignity and some kind of respect and call his name. And so she does that. And because she does that, she herself is doomed as well, sent to a tomb to be buried alive along with her brother. So working on this project, calling on the names of those who had passed away, the hundreds and the hundreds and the hundreds, not the dozens, not the dozens, but the hundreds and the hundreds and the hundreds and the hundreds and the hundreds. I knew that somehow I needed to call their name, and that we needed to pay attention, and that we needed to bury our brothers with some sense of dignity. But I want to live. I want to live. I don't want to be denied. I don't want to be banished because I decide to call the names of my brothers. The fierce and the bad. We're not done. We're not done, Greg. We are not done. One of the wonderful things about having your friends and your colleagues with you is that you can just roll. We roll in, right? We're opening the doors to allow a few others in. So come on in. If you're leaving, you can leave. If you're not, you don't stay. But we have also. We'll continue on, and Nona Hendryx is going to sing a song that she wrote for Grace Notes. We performed it for the first time at the Kennedy Center, and now we've performed it several more times in recent years. So please come in, have a seat if you would like, and join us, and we'll continue. So are you fine, Craig? You ready? It feels good, right? So I'm going to read one more text. We'll read one more text, and then Nona will come on. We didn't rehearse. We just showed up. You know, it's like, okay, Greg, what time you gonna go on? What time y'all playing? Hi, Jessica. I think we'll go back. We're gonna do life's excerpts and then we'll go into grace. How about that? Best thing about working with your friends. Are we in? Are folks in? And whenever you're ready, Greg.
There are more seats over here if y'all need seats.
Is Aja here tonight? Aja, where is she? There she is. My baddest sister in the house. Baddest sister in the house. Her performance last night with VJ Aya was just brilliant. The man was rejected and the woman was denied. The body lay in the open, uncovered and exposed, and women wailed and men moaned. I thought I should look at the numbers because they tell a story. He was a father, a brother, an uncle, a boy. He was 22. He was 36. He was 25. He was 43. He was 27. He was 29. He was 18. He was 16. He was 12. A boy. A child. A cousin. A friend. A student. A doctor. She was 25. She was 31. She was 12. She was 28. She was 37. She was 35. She was 24. A mother, a wife, a sister. A friend, a cousin, an aunt. A student. I can't imagine taking a life. It's hard for me to kill an ant that's moving across my kitchen counter. I'll think about it for a minute. Or a spider climbing up my wall. I'll think about that for a minute. The idea of taking a human life is beyond all of my imagining. It's beyond anything that I could possibly ever do. I don't know how it's done. I don't know how people live with themselves once they've done that. You see that over and over and over and over. The sort of violence that's inflicted constantly throughout the culture, through war, through violence, through resistance, whatever it is. It all makes no sense to me. A friend of mine died a few years ago, and I wrote this text in her honor. In this mystery of all mysteries, in the Alpha and in the Omega, on a day coming in a world without end, I humbly ask, by what means and by what measure do you measure a life? Do you measure it inch by inch? foot by foot, yard by yard, or step by step? Do you measure it by the moments lost or by the moments gained? Do you measure it day by day, year by year, or by yesterday, today, or tomorrow? Or do you measure it by the miles walked, or by the mountains climbed, or the valleys explored? How do you measure a life? Do you measure it by the dreams imagined or by the hopes dashed? By the wisdom of wise words spoken, or by all the sorrow that is often suffered in silence? Do you measure it by the wealth that it's been accumulated? Or do you measure it by the amount that has been spent? Do you measure it by success? Or do you measure it by failure? Do you measure it by the monuments built? Or by the walls scaled? Or by defeats and victories, large or small? How do you measure a life? Now, one way we can think about it, we can measure it over the forgotten or over the remembered. We can measure it by all the near misses and by the exhaustion. We can measure it by one's will to endure all of the imaginable, all of the impossible. Can we measure it by race or by class or by beauty? Can we measure it by our lover's love or our hater's hate? Can we measure it by pushing against the wind, against the tide, against the family, and against tradition? Or do we measure life by the suffering of our friends and our enemies alike? By the beginning or by the end? How? By the way we confront life? Or by the way we confront death? Or by the number of friends that gather during a lifetime? Or by the remaining few who go as far away or as far as they can go with you, shedding copious tears when they lay your body down? How will you measure life? How do you measure life? Do you measure it by the journey taken? By the road traveled? By the effort, the will, or the drive to endure? Or do you measure it by the kindness displayed? By the kindness displayed in the act of living? And so I guess for each of us, we'll have to answer that question in all the ways we can by ourselves. How do we measure a life? Its value, its worth. I had the great pleasure of meeting Nona Hendryx, who agreed to write an extraordinary song for us, and I'd like to introduce the great Nona Hendryx now to sing for us.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to Carrie for asking me to be a part of this evening and for inviting all the artists you've invited to be a part of your convening. It is a wonderful gift to me and to all of those who've been able to come here and be a part of it. When Carrie asked me to write this song, I'm thinking, and we had deep conversations about grace and what does grace mean, the meaning of grace. And it has so many meanings, but the meaning that is so clear to me today is that it's a balm, it's a healing balm. And for so many things and so many times that in that moment we gain, or we're given, or we accept, or we engage with grace. And I'm really happy to be able to perform this with the amazing Craig Harris and the musicians. So, yes, thank you. The woman on bass. Trust and believe in what you can't see. When life pierces your heart and you're on your knees, have faith and believe. You've got to breathe and move on through the night, through the storm, holding on by a thread. Look inside you instead. Have faith and believe. We're singing grace, grace. Grace will save your soul. First you have to believe in grace. Oh, grace. Grace will save your soul. Lost and afraid, searching for a way. With compassion and love, we can rise above. Have faith and believe. Trust and move on night, through the storm, holding on by a thread, look inside you instead, have faith and believe, we're singing grace, oh grace, oh you know that grace will save your soul, but first you have to believe in grace, oh grace, you know that grace will save your soul. Singing, trust and believe, oh, in what you can't see, holding on by a thread, look inside you instead, have faith and believe. If you are lost and afraid, searching for a way, with compassion and love, we can rise above. Have faith and believe, we're singing grace, oh grace, oh grace will save your soul. Save that grace, oh grace, grace will save your soul. That is the Greg Tate.
Nona Hendryx, Nona Hendryx, Nona Hendryx, Nona Hendryx. Great Paris, great Paris, great Paris, great Paris. We thank you so much. We thank you so much. The great Nona Hendryx. Thank you so much. Craig Harris, thank you so much. And so there's nothing like having these extraordinary friends, colleagues to work with, and amazing voices that are as old as a river. And so Grace Notes was an important chapter. Craig, we're going to sort of align ourselves in a few minutes, and we're going to start with Carl Hancock Rux and the baptism. So that's coming next. So be patient, be cool, chat with one another. We'll see you in a minute. We are back again, and my goodness. What really an extraordinary day in all kind of ways. And again, just extraordinary artists, speakers, hearing everybody. I've been trying to just see as much as I possibly could. And of course, because I invited so many people, I wanted to make sure that I was present for at least some portion of what they were doing. So I've been bouncing around a lot, and but deeply grateful for I'm deeply grateful for the work that my colleagues are doing. I'm deeply grateful for the work, right? You know, whether I'm talking about, you know, the work that Deborah Willis is doing, or the work that Sarah Lewis is doing, or the work that Kahari Lazar-White is doing, that Ben Jealous is doing. I mean, you know, Ratcliffe Bailey, people that are in the trenches. They're in the trenches. They're not playing. They did not come to play. This, maybe Carl Lewis, John Lewis passed away. The great John Lewis passed away. And the last time we were at the Armory, Anna DeVere Smith did her pretty extraordinary read and interpretation of John Lewis, and John Lewis's voice and his presence and his persona and the complexity of his life and his work. And when he died, a few weeks maybe after he died, I received a phone call from my wonderful friend, longtime friend and collaborator, Carl Hancock Rux, who had written a piece called The Baptism. And he called me and he asked me if I might be willing to work with him to develop a short video project on it. We were commissioned both by Lincoln Center to do the work, and Carl can tell you more if he chooses to. But now I would simply like to introduce the wonderful poet, writer, scholar, critic, Carl Hancock Rux.
Carrie Mae Weems has invited us into a conversation. And it is not just a conversation regarding death. It's really a conversation about life. Nona Hendryx sang Grace. And I couldn't help but think a little bit about Sarah Dash and Greg Tate, all the people that we've lost. And this poem for John Lewis and C.T. Vivian. The farmer knows death is another stage of life. Nothing really dies We transition like japonica, like quince. The bush blossoms in spring, but some winters buds early with a cold frost. New buds of japonica manifest another generation of flowers. There is a great parable where one asks the japonica flowers, are you the same flowers that died in the frost, or are you different flowers? And the flowers reply, we are not the same, and we are not different. When conditions are sufficient, we manifest. And when conditions are not, we go into hiding. It is as simple, and it is as complicated as that. When conditions are sufficient, things manifest. When conditions are no longer sufficient, things withdraw. They wait until the moment is right to manifest again. We do not die. We are always becoming. We become air and molecules. As soon as blood circulation and respiration stops, excess carbon dioxide causes an acidic environment, causing membranes in cells to rupture. The membranes release enzymes that begin to nourish themselves on nutrient-rich cells, and these nourished enzymes become many gases of sulfur-containing compounds and bacteria returned to the earth. The microorganism and bacteria produce an olfactory of scent as organ, as muscle, as skin, liquefy, as protest. When all of the body's soft tissue decomposes, we become byproducts of our earlier form. We are never born. We never die. We transition. So know that the day of nourishing is here. The lifeblood of transition, one city to the next, story upon story, house upon house, our wanting always cleaning the air, nourishing the soil of insistence. Every being is a building with music. Grace upon grace upon grace. And now, both hands baptized in blood. The sharecropper's son, the boy from Boonville. The first shall go, the last shall come. Age comes, the body withers. Truth comes as itself, a dissembling of the thing, an entity of narrow precincts. Truth opens among ventured things, of blood, in perfect light, excluding loneliness, finding company. Tenant farmers know about hands and soil, and water on earth. They know the lifespan of tobacco crops, and what ice herds hanging over an attic window mean to the sky and all of its balconies, vis-a-vis a higher place, a terrace, another room above a room, taking form, catching hold of the torch glow. I am not me. I am watching me. Realized as two tall shadows sinking into the hardened earth, not even the slightest trace of blue dust will tell of the descent of man, our hours pass into the dim lights of half-eaten moons, so long a journey, yet brief. And after time, we return again. If we nurture that which we have planted with great concentration, as a witness opposing autumn. Farmers know the moisture of a nightcoat, quilted wet against translucent soil, the constant swelling of hands and feet, followed by complete consciousness. Plant planters, plant. Build builders, build. Take a knee and baptize, imploring succor from the breast of God for a voice, a tongue, a language, a means of articulation. This soil, this civility, this right of man must be guarded until we die and are birthed again. The proclamation belongs to our walking and our wandering. Walk, walkers, walk. Sing, singers, sing. Even when the roads are bad and the bridges blocked and the city's gates locked against us, be quick with your questions. Be slow with your answers. As we approach the tilling of this field, because you are its caretaker. Inheriting an old hymn of migrants who compel thoughts. And fear not noose, nor knife, or jail. We're not alone in this music. It is an andantito sung with 4 wind instruments of blues. It is a flute, an oboe, a horn, a bassoon, all manner of stringed instruments coming from within our throats, and the sound that we produce. Cavatina for the mother of the dead, lost to a mirror cloaked in darkness and impenetrable misery. This is the nature of baptism. It is a thank you in company with the web of reason, strangled and entangled to it. Nothing can be wasted. Artistic, cultural, personal relationships to urbanity and regenerative architecture fosters intellectual, human, and financial capital in restoring and replenishing resources of a historical past. A sustainable present and a wellspring of future opportunities. These 2 men, think of them as one building. No building is wasted. Regenerative design thinks ahead, and where architects must design the future, reverse the damage, and create a net positive impact on the environment in the macro scale of sight. Let the storm waters run off the roof of your buildings and make your house stand beneath this ceiling of our responsibility. A place for permanent dreamers, a crop field for tenant farmers, tenants of our own land and winds. Remember Sarah Dash. Remember Greg Tate. Remember John Lewis. Remember C.T. Vivian. Remember anyone that you know whose name you hold within your heart forever. They are over and over and over and over and over and over, and they never die. Almost clear now. Can't you see it? Storm resolving its fury. Sheer stocking of light coming over, coming through the floodgates. 2 strokes of copper arching over dayspring. Almost clear now. You got to keep on. Keep on. Clouds braiding over the moss bin. Shaking the valley, glistening its illusions. Everything is washed clean, even the soot-stained air. And we keep on and 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 keep on. We never die.
Thank you very much. I was wondering what the mic was. Let me just quickly, just one last time. Can I just get a witness for these extraordinary artists? Nona Hendryx, please. Carl Hancock. Aja Monet, if she's in the house. Melanie and Jessica, please. The artists that are here, please, yes. Please. Please, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We thank you for your work. We thank you for the friendship. We thank you for the fellowship. And give it up. Thank you so much. Enjoy. Peace. We'll see you for later for the Terry Lynn Carrington and Lisa Fisher, who should be phenomenal. Peace. Good night.